Vikings, they're the stuff of legends. But today, we're not talking about Ragnar Lothbrok or Leif Erikson. Let me introduce you to Egill Skallagrímsson, the Viking warrior poet who was as deadly with his sword as he was with his words. Imagine a guy who could raid your village, outdrink your strongest warriors, then sit down and compose a poem so good it'd make you cry. Our story begins in 10th century Iceland. Egill Skallagrímsson was born around 904 CE, in a world where survival depended on strength, cunning, and sometimes a well-timed axe to the face. Egill came from a family of big personalities. His grandfather, Kveldulfr, was a berserker, basically a Viking Hulk. His father, Skallagrim, was a fierce warrior and a bit of a blacksmith genius. So yeah, Egill had some pretty big boots to fill. And let's just say he didn't disappoint. Egill didn't waste any time proving he was destined for greatness, or at least chaos. As Egill grew older, he became a full-blown Viking, raiding, pillaging, and fighting across Scandinavia and beyond. But here's the twist. He wasn't just a brute. Egill was a poet, and not just any poet. He mastered the complex Norse art of skaldic poetry, crafting verses that blended sharp wit, dark humor, and deep emotion. Let's take a moment to hear Egill's own words, a glimpse into the soul of a warrior poet. Here's a passage believed to have inspired the modern song My Mother Told Me from the Vikings TV show. My mother wants a price paid to purchase my proud oared ship. Standing high in the stern, I'll scour for plunder, the stout Viking steersman of this shining vessel. Then home to harbor, after hewing down a man or two. You can almost feel the salt spray on your face, right? This passage is pure Viking ambition, setting out on the open seas, chasing glory and fortune, with no fear of danger. Egill's poetry wasn't just entertainment. It was a rallying cry for a life lived boldly. Now, Egill's life wasn't all raids and poetry. It was also packed with drama, family feuds, betrayals, and enough grudges to fill an Icelandic fjord. One of his most famous feuds was with King Eirik Bloodaxe, a man who didn't exactly appreciate Egill's sharp tongue or sharper axe. At one point, Egill composed a scathing poem about Eirik, calling him the worst king ever, the Viking equivalent of a diss track. Needless to say, Eirik wasn't thrilled and sentenced Egill to death. But get this, Egill saved his own life by composing a poem so beautiful, so epic, that even Eirik had to admit, Egill wasn't just a poet, he was also a rebel. He clashed with authority wherever he went. Kings, jarls, even his own family. If Egill had an opinion, you were going to hear about it. But Egill wasn't just about personal grudges. He also stood up for what he believed was right. When his father's land was unfairly taken, Egill fought to get it back, literally. He led a bloody rebellion, proving that you don't mess with a Skallagrimsson. Some scholars believe Egill might have suffered from bipolar disorder or PTSD. But even in his darkest moments, he turned to poetry to express his pain. One of his most famous works is a lament for his son, who tragically drowned. It's raw, heart-wrenching, and a reminder that even the fiercest warriors have their vulnerable moments. So, what makes Egill Skallagrímsson stand out in Viking history? He wasn't just a fighter. He was a thinker, an artist, and a man who left behind a legacy that blended brutality and beauty. Egill's story is preserved in the Egill saga, one of the most famous Icelandic sagas. And while some parts might be exaggerated, it gives us a glimpse into the complex world of Viking culture, where art and war were two sides of the same coin. Egill's life reminds us that even in the most violent times, there's room for creativity and expression. Egill Skallagrímsson wasn't just a Viking. He was a legend, a man who lived boldly, fought fiercely, and wrote beautifully. His story is a testament to the wild, complex, and utterly fascinating world of the Vikings. Thanks for joining me on this journey into Viking history. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow history buffs. Let's keep exploring the legends of the past, one epic tale at a time. See you next time.